That's not good. Oh, and I need this one too. Right? Yep, good. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Have attention, please. All quiet, please. Thank you. Have your notes out. We're going to start a brand new unit. It's going to be a shorter unit than the one we just finished. This is going to cover the handout. Have the handout that I gave you. This is the whole world connected, 1450 to 1750 and thereabouts. The second part of 2. And we'll be looking at Native America that becomes Latin America. So North and South America that's going to end up under mostly under the control of Spanish and Portuguese. We'll also look at the Muslim empires in the Middle East and India. We'll look at sub-Saharan Africa. And then we'll look at Asia, including China and Japan. It's going to be a relatively short unit, and we'll have a test at the end of that. In this unit, we're actually going to be having a fair amount of video, which is just as well because I'm not going to see you guys on Thursday. You know that, right? What are you guys going to be doing after 11 o'clock on Thursday? Bye-bye. Yep. Yep. I mean, that'll pretty much wrap it up for the semester. I don't know if you have Zoom stuff you have to do first through fourth periods, but on Thursday and Friday, you have no responsibilities in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. That's already part of the calendar. You guys clear on that? Okay. And then how many of you guys are coming in on Tuesday of next week for the PSAT? Okay, right? So you guys will be here for that part, and then hopefully you will have made arrangements to go bye-bye. Have you got a ride to leave afterwards? Okay, because otherwise you have to stick around and, yeah. Anyway, so that's not so. See if you can get a ride, so you can, because there's not going to be any official classes, but there will be teachers here to, like, yeah, be here. Yeah. So what you guys are going to be doing, I'm going to be having some responsibilities for you. Basically, check the Google Classroom. There's going to be some video assignments. I'm going to be putting some links up. You are going to be watching a movie called The Mission. I'll give you a handout for that. I actually want that to be filled out while you are watching it and turn it in. I've got it right here. This is worth 5 points. And pay particular attention to the questions on the back that ask for some of your opinion as you go through this one. Okay, we'll be talking about this. Because in this unit, there's 2 films that I'd like to do, and I'm going to be having you watch those at home, along with some sheets that go along with it. Particularly the second one that asks a lot of questions like, well, this person or this thing was changed in history as it was presented in the film. Why do you suppose the film director did that? Because I want you to be thinking about that process, because this coming semester, y'all are going to do some research on a film, a history film, some movie that has to do something with history. It could be a long time ago, it could be recent, could be whatever, and you're going to be doing research to find out, well, what was true in that movie and what was not true, and maybe why did the film director change things around. So I want to get you guys some practice in doing that in this unit that we're working on right now. Okay? I just posted in Google Classroom a assignment that you can do if you need additional points. I was actually very pleased with how you guys did overall, and the Green Day group on the test. I mean, it's not necessarily an easy test. There's a lot of information and so forth there, and that's kind of how things go in my classes from here on out. I like students to know details, okay? But there is, check in Google Classroom, if you're close enough to get up to the next highest grade, there's opportunities. I think there's one essay for 6.5 points, another essay for 6.5 points, and those are extra points that would go into it. If you've already checked, how many of you guys know how you did on the test and you know where you are exactly in this class because you check PowerSchool? I mean, that's why those tools are really interesting and available. If you're liking where you're at right now, there's really no more points that are going to be held against you. There's only opportunities for additional points. And I've actually got one little thing that's worth 5 extra credit points that I always do every semester, and that's a feedback form. We'll get to that here in a moment. But if you are trying to get it up to the next highest. Take a look at that Google Classroom assignment, writing a couple essays. Giving you until like the end of the week, okay? Because I know you guys got a little bit left to do as far as somebody mentioned Spanish. What other classes have? You got one next period in English. Oh, so you guys are going to be writing an essay or something in English on Animal Farm, right? Napoleon, pig, good or bad? Bad. Do they actually ask you who that represented in real life? Because you're going to be learning about that next year in government class. Stalin. And who were the pigs ultimately? Were they fascists or communists? Communists, yeah, they're communists. Okay. So anyway, good luck with that. And yeah, we're going to be moving on into next week. Okay. All right. Let's do this one first. This won't take too long. Everybody was here for the test. And in the other class too, which is great because then I can hand back the test. You can look at what you got right or wrong, and then I will actually collect the test part back. You can keep the score sheet in your possession. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to hand this part back to you right now while we can. And right here. And there we go. Back to where you normally. There you are. Okay. And there's that here. These papers, they always stick together. Got it. Oh my gosh. Crazy. Okay. All right. After you've had a chance to look at test, I'll get that top part back. Thank you. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. You got a chance to look at it? Okay, thanks. Whoa, that's flying away. Go. All done. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Almost. Oh, that was tricky, huh, Mr. Hanson? Did you get the backside too? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Now, you need something to write with. We'll be doing this over the next. Well, it's not going to take too long. And usually, a lot of times, I'll hand this out right before the test. But then we had 9 minutes periods, and we did it this time. This is a feedback form that I've been doing, something similar to this throughout my teaching career, which is coming to a close at some point. But I like getting feedback from students. So, for example, I wrote this down. I found that having honest feedback from students can be helpful. Ask for your frank and fair opinion to get it. Make this promise your grade will not benefit or suffer based on comments. However, 5 extra credit points going directly to the semester grade. By completing this evaluation, put your name, of course, 9th grade world history, and then the date is 18. And then feedback, opinions, concern, messages, final words, drawings, etc. Students can give there. Sometimes students like to take a little bit of time to think through that and so forth. Some of you guys are pretty good as far as like feeling comfortable communicating with teachers as far as what's working, what's not working, questions, clarification, things like that. And I really like it when ninth graders are like, can you tell me about what's going on with this? I mean, don't be nervous about that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I do. I have it completely wrong. Oh my gosh. No, wait, it's not. Oh my gosh. Doesn't that bug you? And you're the first one because I've had that up. Look at this. 11th grade, 12th grade. It isn't until my rockin' ninth graders that one of you at least pointed out that it is wrong. Okay, so hold on. Let me fix it. Okay. That's good. Like, Mr. Hanson, you don't even know your dates. Oh my gosh. If I can keep it, if that's the only thing that's wrong, then that's good. Okay. There. Thank you. Okay, and there we go. So, okay, where was I? Yeah, so students feeling comfortable sharing things that work for them as you go through. And this is kind of a weird thing because we're in COVID, we're doing quarantine. We don't have as much time in class, much less time, so it's been a bit of a challenge. Nevertheless, I wanted to encourage you guys, so I'll give this to you. Sometimes students are quite lengthy in what they want to write, to communicate to me. Other times they're like, I don't know. And then you can just do a drawing sort of thing, if that suffices. But this is a pretty helpful way, for me at least, of soliciting at least kind of like what's on your mind as far as what's working, what might not be necessarily working for you, and so forth. I will have to say, though, I am pleased so far that things are going pretty well for you guys. Seem very on top of it, which is good. Don't want to let it necessarily go to your heads or anything. Yes, so I have enjoyed working with you guys this semester and next semester as well. And it looks like, and I was double checking on this one, looks like I've got all of you guys. Have you seen any changes in your schedules and so forth? This is a 2-semester course, so I've got you guys in here as well. And looks like, at least as far as like the other 9th grade class, I don't know, I need confirmation on it. Some of the other 9th graders are starting to come back and do the hybrid that they weren't doing last time. And you might see some faces of some students who've been at home actually appearing here, which is cool. And I think I might be having some of them on the Green Day. This class is full, as far as I'm concerned. You guys fill up all my desks in here without any room to spare. I think I could put somebody like in that little corner right there if we had 15. But yeah, hopefully that's not going to necessarily be the case. Okay? While you guys are still working on that, some of you guys are finished because you're just very succinct. Let me pass this out and I'll talk about this here in just a sec. This is going to be the video assignment that I will have with you guys. That I want to say this will be due the next time you guys come back and I see you, which, believe it or not, the next time I'll see you in this classroom is next Thursday, which is a long time, but that's kind of how that goes. Okay. Go. All right. And I'll gotta remember to post this on Google Classroom. Okay. Okay, if you've got yours done, I'll collect that from you. No rush. Thanks. All done? Okay. All right, thanks. Thank you. Still working on it? Oh, okay. Just like putting you guys on the spot. While some of you guys are finishing that up, let me explain this particular handout. The mission will actually do the notes leading right up to showing this movie. And you guys are going to be watching it. It's PG. It's PG. Okay? And I think this was actually before they came up with the PG-13 ratings, because I think it might actually be PG-13 because it's pretty intense. This is a very powerful film done in 1986, set in South America during the colonial time period in the 1750s. Story of Jesuits and the Guarani natives and what happens there. When I show in class, it can be very intense. One of the things that I'm always appreciative of the fact is y'all are in high school now, so you can start to deal with some mature themes and so forth. So for example, when they're making the film, they try to do things that are very authentic. So the Guarani natives presented authentically living in the tropical rainforest are not, shall we say, heavily dressed. So you got to kind of get over that part of it. You think you can? I know sometimes when I show that, there might be one or two people that are just a little bit still grown up that like find that like ha 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 and so forth, you know, because they show flesh parts and so forth. But it's all part of their natural lifestyle. But anyway, if you get past that, then you can get into the story, which is the difficulty that's going to come when you have, as you'll see in your notes, people, in this case, Jesuit priests, trying to help native populations. And what kinds of difficulties they're going to be facing? Well, you should see in the movie. I'm not going to tell you everything, but I will tell you this, a little bit of a warning. It could make you sad. And in fact, I remember, I think this is even before I became a teacher and so forth, we were like having some family gathering and like, oh, let's watch a movie. Oh, how about this one? Oh, okay, let's watch it. And my nephew, who's a little bit younger than you guys, he was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting, like native population and everything. And then we watched it and he was mad. Spoilers, there's some sadness. All right? I mean, like if one of your favorite characters and so forth doesn't make it. Yeah, so I'm just alerting you. I don't think I'm giving everything away, but once I get to the history of it, you'll go, thanks a lot, Mr. Hansen. I'm depressed now. Your fault. Right? And seriously, think about that, because when you get to the very last question, or the second to last question, number 27, you know, like, which is it? Thus have we made the world, or the world is thus. Try and really think about that deeply, because we'll discuss that when we come back on Thursday. And, yeah, we'll discuss it on Thursday, and I'll collect that from you as well. So make a little note. That'll be due on the Thursday after we get back. All done with this? Okay. Almost. All done? Okay, thank you. And you're done. Did I get yours? Okay, thanks. All righty. That's great. Thank you very much. And got those. Okay. All right. Whew. Questions about the mission? It's free on YouTube. I'll show you the link. Although if the link doesn't work, just type in on YouTube the mission and you'll be able to find it for free. So that's good that we can actually do that. I don't have to like go round and round and round trying to find an alternative, like documentaries and stuff like that. Okay, here we go. You ready? We're going to get through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullet points on the first page of this. You ready? You got a separate section in your notes? Okay. All right. So, and by the way, I don't think I'm going to be having any quizzes on this particular one. Chapter quizzes. If you want to, you're welcome to look at Chapter 19. Some of the information is going to be derived from there. but I'm not going to have a Chapter 19 quiz per se for this. So we're going to give you what you need to know in here, and we'll go from there. Okay? All right. Here we go. Spain is going to be the main claimer, the main claimant of territory in the New World. In fact, if you look at this map right here, you see the green? This is all going to be claimed by Spain, with the exception of one part. Brazil is claimed by Portugal. You're going to have a little bit of area in South America. The French and the British are going to be making claims there. And of course, when you get to the northern part of North America, we'll be talking a lot about the British and the French. And mostly it's going to be the British who will prevail until they lose it. We'll see that next semester. Their 13 colonies are going to be declaring independence. I'm trying to think, what did they name that country? What is the name of the country that's formed from the 13 original colonies? America. The United States of America. Exactly. What's that country just to the north of the United States of America? Anybody know? What's that country just to the north of the United States of America? Canada. Have you heard of Canada before? Do they live in America? Are they Americans? Actually, it's fascinating because like Canadians are like, yeah, we're Americans too. We live in North America. Don't be like you're the only American. But anyway, so Canada, they're cool too. So we've got, they call it Latin America because, write this down, Latin, of course, is the base language from which Spanish and Portuguese comes. So that's why sometimes when you refer to Latin America, do we in the United States live in Latin America? No. Is Mexico part of Latin America? And pretty much everything to the south. So when you hear that expression, Latin America, it's going to be referring to territories that are in the Americas, Central America, which is part of North America, and then South America, that are going to come under the predominance mostly of Spain. And this is after the initial, like, oh, look, there it is. Now you get the exploration and conquest. And we've already run into some of the conquistadors last time. Like, for example, do you remember who conquered the Aztecs? Who's the Spanish leader who conquered the Aztecs and defeated Montezuma? Hernan Cortez, yeah. Who conquered the Incas? Pizarro, exactly, yeah, the conquistador for that. So some of these guys, though, are going to be more interested in exploration, okay? Which, of course, is like, hey, we've got some exploration, we're looking for this, that, and so forth. And they're going to encourage other people to go charging in there. And if there's Native American population in the way, you know, hey, whatever, we'll just kind of push you aside. Let's go through the various different ones. We'll start with Coronado. Francisco Vasquez de Coronado, he's Spanish, and he's looking for El Dorado. He hears about El Dorado. Maybe you saw the, I don't know, the movie El Dorado. Have you guys seen the movie El Dorado? El Dorado? Not to suggest that that would be one that you're doing, but I've actually had, like, oh my gosh, that's, I think it's a Disney one, it's like a DreamWorks or whatever. And I've had some students who do historical research on what's true in that movie and what's not true in that movie. Well, there's a lot that's not true, but one of the things that is true is they were searching for El Dorado, a mythical golden city. And so what did Coronado do? Between the years of 1540 and 1542, he went from the coast of what is now Mexico up into the interior of North America looking for El Dorado, the mythical city. Did he find some city that says, welcome to El Dorado, there's a lot of gold here, take whatever you want? No. Is that a complete failure then if he doesn't find El Dorado? What value can come from him wandering through all these areas like Arizona, what ultimately is Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma, and so forth? What value is there? If he didn't find what he was looking to find, is there any value in finding anything? What do you think? Any value? Yeah, I mean, it's land. He's like, he goes through all these different areas, making contact with the native populations, basically making maps. All of this area that he went through, he will claim, for the king of Spain, claim for Spain, claim for Spain, claim for Spain. He does it all over. So one of the values we're going to see for each of these explorers is they're going to end up with some halfway decent maps. Because previous to that time, who had been exploring in there? Well, the people that were living there that knew this. But this is the first time that Europeans are coming in, and they're starting to lay down understanding of what is there. Okay? Even if they don't find the mythical golden city. How about the Fountain of Youth? This is going to be Ponce de Leon. There's the next one. Ponce de Leon is going to be searching for the mythical Fountain of Youth. And he's going to come out of the Caribbean, going bopping around various different areas of the Caribbean and looking in Florida in particular. This is very interesting because you guys knew this from the last test. What was the name of the very first English settlement in North America? Jamestown in Virginia, yeah. But what was it the very first European settlement in North America? No. In fact, was it even the very first European settlement in what would become the United States of America? What's the very first European settlement in the United States of America? It says so right here on the map. St. Augustine, Florida. Make sure you have this. Florida was claimed by Spain. Ponce de Leon went bopping this way, that way, and so forth all around it. Florida was part of the Spanish territories. Is it part of the United States? Next semester you'll find out how Florida came to be part of the United States. We bought it from Spain. Just to the north, and you guys know geography. What is the state in the United States of America just to the north of Florida? Here's the first clue. It's just to the south of South Carolina and to the north of Florida. It's the one in between. It's Georgia. Yeah, it's Georgia. Anybody have any idea? What was Georgia used? The British had Georgia. And South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and so forth, those are all going to be British. You have any idea what they used it for? Yep. Now, there was growing there. They also used it for a special purpose. Anybody know? Later, I'll give you a clue. Later, after the United States became independent and Georgia was no longer able to be used for this purpose by the British, they used Australia for that purpose. Do you know what that is now? Yeah. They're like, hey, we could keep you and we could kill you, or we could leave you in prisons here in Britain to rot, or maybe we'll stick you on a boat and send you to Georgia. And then after the American Revolution, they stuck people in boats and sent them all the way to Australia. And literally, some of them, they're just like, okay, we're just going to drop you here on this rocky shore. Good luck. Okay? So Ponce de Leon, did he find the Fountain of Youth? Nope. Went looking for it, but he was able to map out various different areas in the Caribbean as well as Florida. Okay? How about De Soto? De Soto was another one, and actually I've got this correct in your notes now. Hernan de Soto. So we got the third explorer here. He's going to be bopping all over the southeast part of the United States of America. Going into Florida, coming out through Georgia, ultimately parts of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and then make his way down into Mexico. So, way to go, De Soto, another Spanish explorer. But ultimately, I mean, Spain took on so much territory, they're going to have their hands full here. And actually, this is not even accurate. To tell the truth here, this shows the current border between the United States and Mexico. Mexico actually did have all that area to the north of it. Spain did. Later it will be Mexico. All the way to, you get this? The southern border of Idaho that it now shares with Utah. Utah was controlled by Spain. Yeah, very impressive. Okay? All right. Now, in the areas after they've explored, the Spanish wanted to make money off of these territories. So write this down. Spanish settlers would come over, Spanish men, sometimes women. Sometimes the women didn't come in the early voyages And so sometimes the Spanish men would marry and have children with some of the native population. And they would establish these estates. You want to write it in your notes as haciendas. Hacienda, Spanish word, basically think of plantation. Okay? They arrive, they want to do farming, and they want to grow stuff. They want to grow things to feed their families, but you know what? They want to make money. Put this down. In the haciendas, they grow cash crops. Now, it's not like you put cash in the ground and then, oh, look, more cash grows up. It's not crazy like that. But cash crops, things that they could grow, they could harvest, they could put on boats, and they could sell it back to Europe. That's going to be a main destination for these cash crops. Anybody have any idea what kinds of things could they grow in the Americas that maybe you couldn't grow in Europe and that you could import, or transport to Europe? Stuff to make cigarettes, what do you call that? What's that weed that is used to make cigarettes and other kinds of you guys don't know? Tobacco, yeah, that's right, write that down, tobacco. So you can grow tobacco in the Americas. You can't really quite grow it as well in Europe. The climate doesn't quite work for Europe, but you can grow that in the Americas, and you can make like snuff, something that they can chew on, or put it into like a pipe form, or roll it up into a cigar. Very good, tobacco. What's another one? What is another crop that you can grow in a tropical area? You can't grow it in Europe. You go into the tropical area, and then it grows up in these big tall plants, and you cut them down, and you boil them up, and then you make these little teeny tiny refined particles, and it tastes really good. Sugar, yeah, sugar cane, write it down, sugar cane. They're going to grow a lot of sugar cane, especially in the Caribbean. Lots of sugar cane. You guys like sugary things? You like sweet things? Yeah, you're going to put it into sugar cane. Sometimes, if it's like, oh, it's too much, you can put it into a form that you can like stick in a barrel. You can make the sugar cane and sugar into something that you put into a barrel. What is that? What is like liquid sugar? Anybody know what that's called? Molasses. Molasses. You put a whole barrel, turn a big thing of sugar cane into sugar, and then liquefy it into molasses. You can stick it on barrels and stick it on ships and send it over to Europe and make a lot of money. So they do. Lots and lots of this. You also have lots of mining going on. Write this down. Mining for silver, especially places like Mexico, or gold in places like Brazil. Mining for gold and silver, and a lot of that's going to end up being sent back. This is hard work. Ty, who do you suppose these Spanish settlers are going to rely upon to do the hard work in their haciendas? The Spanish, are there going to be enough Spanish coming over? Who are they actually? And I'll tell you what, this is the part where it starts getting bad. These Spanish are coming over, Columbus included, okay? And they're like, hey, we got a lot of work to do. I got stuff to grow in my hacienda, or I got a mine over here. I got to get this stuff out of the ground. Who are they going to get to do the work? Exactly, the local people. Write it down. The native population. And the native population are going to be referred to as encomiendas. Encomienda. So native Americans, basically, and it's not like it's like, oh, well, let me persuade you to actually do some work. They're going to be like forced into this. It's like a form of slavery, if not outright slavery. Go ahead and call it that. These native workers are put into very, very difficult positions where, let me see, they're working really, really, really hard. That could kill them. What else could kill them? Starvation, yeah. What are some of the other things we talked about not too long ago that could kill them? The diseases, exactly. The exposure to the diseases from the Europeans and so forth. I mean, that's going to happen anyway. Put it this way. The first island that Columbus came onto, Hispaniola, they immediately start putting the native population to work. They work them, and eventually you look around, they're like pretty much all dead. Write it down. The native population on some of these islands is just going to be like worked to death or diseased to death, or anyway, it's just not very nice. So what do? What are you going to do, Becca? You set up a hacienda. You're a Spanish settler. You've got all these fields full of sugar cane. You're going to make some money off of it, but you need workers, and now all your native workers are sick and dying. Well, that was an easy, quick solution. Where are you going to get Africans? Who's going to transport Africans? Who's going to sell Africans to, like, slave ship captains so they can bring them over to you? Who's going to do that? I think we already identified. Who was it, here or here? You were the slave. You were the slaver in Africa, huh? Yeah, this is going to be a big part of it. Write it down. You're going to see massive amounts of African slaves captured, put in boats, brought across the Atlantic, and put to work in sugarcane fields, silver and gold mines. And we're talking about millions and millions of them. And it's really easy to tell which areas imported the most African slaves, because you just go to them. If you go to Brazil and you look around and go like, I wonder how many African slaves were imported into this area. And you look around and it's like, here's the first clue. A lot of people in the country have very dark skin. Now there could be some recent free immigrants coming over from Africa, but most of the people in Brazil have heritage from when they originally came over. Lots of African slaves brought into Brazil. Lots of African slaves brought into the Caribbean. Like if you went to the island of Hispaniola, the first one that Christopher Columbus came to, go to the two countries, Haiti and Dominican Republic, you're going to probably see maybe 90-95% of the population have heritage that is African. It's a very dark-skinned population. And it goes back to the time when Africans enslaved were brought over to work in the sugar plantations, sugar haciendas. You got that? Not very nice. And how are they treated? Very, very badly. Yeah. Indians worked for a portion of their time for the Spanish settlers. Oh, and the Spanish settlers protect and care for. Now, many of them are like, well, we're going to Christianize you, but I mean, that's nice, but if you're working them to death, that's not very good either. Replace them with lots and lots of slaves. Yeah. There were some Spanish that cared. This is a good entree into where we're kind of heading into the movie The Mission. There were some Spanish and others who cared quite a bit. They look at the New World as not opportunity to make lots and lots of money, but they see lots of people who've never heard about their Christian faith. And so they go there, these priests. This is probably one of the most famous. Make sure you got his name in there. Bartolomé de las Casas, Spanish priest. He comes in, and he's interested in communicating with the native population, to sharing the gospel story, to helping to convert them to Christianity. And many of them will, to the native population. Later we're going to see many of the Africans as well will convert to the Christian religion. But one of the things, though, that's troubling is he's looking around and he's like, I'm converting these people, but, you know, the owners, the hacenderos, the people who own the haciendas, they're treating them miserably. That is no way to treat a fellow Christian brother or sister. So make sure you write this down. De las Casas complains. Write it down. He complains. And he takes his complaint to the highest source. Blake, what is the highest authority in the Spanish-controlled New World that De las Casas could go and say, I'm going to take my complaint here, because that's going to put an end to all this mistreatment, hopefully. Who is the top dog in the Spanish Empire? Now, the Pope is the head of the church, and that's not a bad one to go to as well. Okay? But who actually has like the territorial control over the Spanish Empire? Who hired Christopher Columbus? Who hired subsequent people? Who actually is the one they report back to? Anybody have any idea? The king, yeah, write it down, the king. Yeah, the king. Dallas Casas is going to go right back to the king and say, King, you are supposed to be the great example of a Christian king, Catholic king. He is of the Catholic particular faith. You need to do more to help protect these people. And write this down. It may be a little bit too late, but the royal authority will start helping somewhat. Write it down. Dallas Casas is going to really be a true friend to native populations. And he's going to go right up to the top and try and change things out as much as possible. But I think the key words there is probably a little bit too little, and certainly it's going to be too late for most of those native population that are going to be dead. But I mean, his appeal is, they are brothers, they are sisters, we are fellow Christians. Don't treat them like dogs, like animals. Got it? Who else is going to follow that tradition? This is where the film is going to pick up. We're right at the perfect spot here. And your next thing, what you want to write down is about these Jesuit missions that take place in Paraguay. Paraguay is going to be located ultimately in the region near Argentina and Brazil. Let's go back to the big map here. It's right here, if you can see, sort of in the southern part of South America. In that region, you've got sort of its bordering. That's going to come out in the film. You've got some Portuguese territory, which is going to be in Brazil, and then you've got some Spanish territory. In both of those, write that down, in both of those territories, you've got colonists. And what are they interested in? Making bank, having huge plantations, haciendas, to grow all kinds of things, whether it's sugar or bananas and so forth. But then you get a whole bunch of Jesuit priests, missionaries that come in and they establish missions. And this is important. This is going to be like sanctuary. In fact, write that down. Sanctuary is the key word there. In these missions, and there's a whole bunch of them. In the movie, you're going to see like example of two. One kind of in a traditional area, well settled in the city, and then one way up high in the rainforest area. But there were a whole bunch of them. The Jesuits set them up, and they provided protection from native population. If you were native, and you were living in one of these mission territories, you were safe from being captured as a slave. You worked with your fellow Guarani, native population, as well as the Jesuit missionaries themselves. You grew stuff. You took care of yourself. And, of course, you're converted to Christianity. You're worshiping and doing all kinds of stuff. Everything's cool. I mean, everything's going very well. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that? Well, write this down. In Europe, the Jesuits had been seen to be too powerful, the Catholic Church too powerful, and the top advisor to Portugal's king, the top advisor is a guy by the name of Marquis, bless you, the Marquis of Pombal. He's like top advisor, and he gives his king some advice. Don't let these missions exist. Don't honor their sanctuary. Shut down the missions. Take away the native population and enslave them. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a treat. There you go. On that note, you're going to watch, I already gave it away a little bit. Yeah. You're going to watch the mission and see what happened artistically, creatively in that time period. And we'll discuss it at length when you guys come back. Good? Okay, good. Yeah. Good luck on your remaining assignments for this semester. Okay. The movie is, I want to say, just under 2 hours. Yeah. So you'll have plenty of time to watch it. So after you've wiped down, you head to your next class or the restroom or whatever you need. There we go. You'll watch this as a scene from the movie. Oh, sorry, I didn't get that. Thank you. Jeremy Irons playing an instrument to the Guarani, who are not too warm in their clothes. Yeah. And there's the Marquise of Pombal. Oh, foreshadowing. Oh no. Oh no. Anyway, you guys can go as soon as you're ready to go. Okay. Thank you.